Okay? So on the 6th string, we're going to go back to this. We know this note is E. Right there, that note is E. So the next note on the guitar, this first fret here, is going to be what? It's going to be F, because there is no E sharp, right? So understand that all these strings don't start on A, right? Music doesn't always start on A. I'm just telling you to start your thought process on the first note of the alphabet, which is A, right? Which makes sense. But that doesn't mean once we start actually making music that A is the note that we're always going to start on. We can start on C or G or D or F sharp or whatever we want. Those notes aren't going to change. Those 12 notes are not going to change, right? Those white notes and the black notes, those 12 notes are not going to change. Okay? It's just what are we choosing out of that to start with? Well, on the 6th string, we're choosing to start with E. So the first fret is F. And you probably already knew that, but that's what it is. It's not E sharp, because there is no E sharp. The 2nd fret is F sharp, because F does get a sharp, so this is F sharp. So for the rest of your life, this note is F sharp. G. What's the next one? G sharp, right? Okay, now think about it. We're on G sharp, so the next note's got to be A. Because we got to start all over again. There's nothing past G sharp. It just starts all over. Remember the circle? It just goes in a circle. So this is A. There's no H, right? F, G, H, there's no such thing. So we went E, F, F sharp, G, G sharp, A, and of course A gets a sharp, so here it is, A sharp. Here's B. B doesn't get a sharp, so it goes directly to C on the 8th fret. C sharp, D, D sharp. Now get this. At the 12th fret with the 2 dots is E. 0 was E. 12th fret with 2 dots is E. That's why it has 2 dots. It's telling you you've gone an octave. So 0 and 12 are the same thing. Those are E's, which means 1 and 13 are both the same thing, which are F's. Remember, there's no such thing as E sharp. 14 and 2 are the same. Those are both F sharps. 15 and 3 are the same. Those are both G's. And you'll notice that the dots line up from here just like they did here. Okay? So what we're going to focus on right now are from the 12th fret on down. That's what we're going to focus on. And I'm going to give you a bunch of different little tips for you to practice. Now, all this stuff is covered in a course that I offer. It's called Music Theory Made Easy. Music Theory Made Easy. And we're going to be talking a little bit about that course a little bit later, but I want to give you some of the entry-level ideas to music theory, and then that course will take you in a far superior place with all of these sorts of things. But let's just get started with this. So 0 to 12, we have 12 notes. 0 to 12 are the notes that we're talking about. Now here's the problem, is I would teach this to people all the time and go, okay, so E, F, F sharp, G, G sharp, A sharp, B, C, C sharp, D, and so on. And I'd say, write that down. And then I'd go, okay, go ahead and memorize that. And then when you've got that memorized, we're going to practice that next week. So my student would go home and then they'd come back the next week, right? And we'd be sitting together and I'd say, okay, well, let's review your notes, right? So I'm going to say a note and I want you to find it on the guitar. So I'd say, okay, find B. And they'd go, and they'd count up and find B. Then I'd say, okay, find D. And then they'd count up and they'd find D. Okay? That's relative knowledge, but it's not absolute knowledge. And we can't use relative knowledge when we're in a pinch or we're nervous or whatever. We need absolute knowledge, right? If the dog is chasing us and he's got really big teeth, we know instinctively to hightail it out of there and run away, right? So it's not a relative, well, what should I do? Let me ponder. You don't have time for that. You got to get the crap out of there before he bites your feet off, you know what I mean? So the thing about this theory stuff is if we're going to use it, we got to learn it absolutely. So what I want to teach you is a little trick, if you don't already know this, to learning your notes on your guitar to make this much, much, much easier. And here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a step back and we're going to pull all the sharps and flats out. We're going to pull them all out. And we're just going to memorize the prime notes, A, B, C, D, E, F, and G, on the guitar. So E is 0. F is 1. Now let me ask you, it's a silly question, but where's E? 0. Where's F? 1. Okay? You've already learned a percentage of your fretboard right there, and it's that easy. E is 0, F is 1. You're done. You know E is 0 and F is 1. You just do. E is 0, F is 1. Well, F sharp was 2. G is 3. G is 3. This is G. 3rd fret is G. It just is. Now, you might have dots on your guitar. You might not have dots on your guitar. Dots are always nice because they help you to visually see, just like white and black keys, they help you to visually see where you are. So if you have a guitar that has no dots whatsoever, that can make things a little more difficult. And you could always mark them with, like a piece of tape or something like that. But hopefully you've got those dots on your guitar. So this dot right here, this 3rd fret, you'll notice I don't have a dot at the 1st fret, and most guitars don't. Doesn't mean that all don't. Sometimes they do. But this 3rd fret is G. E, F, G. So here's what you do is you take, if you've got a friend or a relative or somebody who's living with you, a wife, husband, child, dad, mom, whatever it is, okay, and you have them quiz you. Now this quiz is going to get a little bigger, but right now your quiz is, they might ask you, what's at the 3rd fret? And you say G. What's at the 1st fret? You say F. What's at the 0 fret? You say E. So it's that easy, okay? Or they might say, where's G? And you say 3rd fret. Where's E? 0 fret. Where's F? 1st fret. You see how I did that? There's 2 different things you can do. Have them ask you the fret number and you tell them what the name of the note is, or they ask you the name of the note and you tell them the fret number. Practice both those things with somebody, okay? Anybody. They don't have to know anything about guitar. You're just going to tell them the frets that you want them to yell out, or you're going to tell them the notes that you want them to yell out. Okay, so let's keep going and finish that up. So E, F, G. A is at the 5th fret. It's a dot. B is at the 7th fret. It's a dot. Seeing a trend here? So F, G, A, B. 1, 3, 5, 7. F, G, A, B. 1, 3, 5, 7. And then E is 0. So where's B? 7. Where's G? 3. Where's A? 5. Where's F? 1, right? Okay? So up to this point, you've learned over half your fretboard. Because remember, it just repeats at 12. So we're just going up to 12 here. You've already learned half your fretboard in like 5 minutes, right? F, G, A, B, 1, 3, 5, 7. Okay? Now, we know that B doesn't get a sharp though. So here's where the little hiccup is C is at 8, which is not a dot. Now that should define for you right there. The dots are not on the guitar to be compatible with A and B and C. They're just on there as markers. So C is at the 8 and D is at the 10, which surrounds this 9th fret here. So C and D surround this dot. They're not on this dot. They surround this dot. Okay? I had a student, this little girl, many, many years ago, if you haven't heard me tell this story, she called these rabbit ears because I always did this. So I've always thought about these 2 notes, C and D, as being rabbit ears. 8 and 10. Okay? So F, G, A, B, C, and D. F, G, A, B, C, and D. 1, 3, 5, 7, 8, and 10. And you've learned the 6th string. In less than 10 minutes, you've learned the 6th string. Okay? So now you could have somebody quiz you and say, where's D? 10. Where's B? 7. Where's A? 5. Where's F? 1. And it's going to take a little while, okay? But I guarantee you, if you thought about this, and this is music theory, guys, so you have to understand that music theory takes some time. You have to understand what you want, then you have to apply what you've learned. Otherwise, it's a concept out here in space that you can't actually use. What's the point of that? Learn to use it to better yourself as a guitar player. That's the point. That's always the point, okay? To just learn things to learn them can be fun, and it can be inspiring, but it's not very useful. We want to make this useful for you, okay? So F, G, A, B, C, and D. Now, if you just learned 1, 3, 5, 7, 8, and 10, okay, and you spent 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, a week, whatever you want, okay, because I guarantee you that there's many of you out there that probably haven't absolutely learned all the notes on your fretboard. You could figure them out, relative, give me some time, blah, 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 but you don't know them absolutely. This is the trick to learning the fretboard absolutely, all the notes on your guitar. Okay? So let's say you even took a week and you just had somebody quiz you F, G, A, B, C, and D. 1, 3, 5, 7, 8, and 10. Okay? Once you learn those, you already know where your sharps and flats are because they exist in between those. If this is F and G, F sharp is in between. G flat is in between. Don't muck your brain up with all the sharps and flats right now. Take them out of there. Forget them. Once you absolutely know where F is, you know where F sharp is. Once you absolutely know where C is, you know where C sharp is. Once you absolutely know where A is, you know where A flat is because you move back one. G sharp, A flat, same note. Remember, that's called an enharmonic. G sharp and A flat are the same pitch. You can call it either one. Okay? Enharmonic means it's the same note with two different names. G sharp, A flat. Okay? So you'd be able to learn your sixth string in no time flat. Okay? You're not running a race here, and please always remember that. Okay? If you've been playing for 6 months or a year or 2 years or 5 years or 10 years or whatever it is, and you still don't absolutely know the notes on your guitar, this is life-changing because you could really do this. Even if it took you 6 months, even if it took you a year, for the rest of your life, from the rest of your guitar playing career, you'd know the notes on your guitar. All the time you've spent not learning them, here's your opportunity to do it. But to try and do it too fast is just going to cause problems. So don't do that, okay? Once you've learned the notes on your sixth string, you're going to notice on that chart there, on the notes on the fifth string, that it works exactly the same way, except the fifth string, of course, starts with the note A. But A would be 0. B would be on 2 this time, not 1, because we have A sharp. So B is on 2. C is on 3. D is on 5. E is on 7. And get this, F and G surround the 9th fret. You got rabbit ears again here. Okay? So F and G surround that. So once you're ready for the fifth string, you would do exactly the same thing on the fifth string. Except you'd have to remember that B is at the 2nd fret, not the 1st fret. So A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. You memorize those notes. Okay? Once you've got those absolutely memorized, then you know where the sharps and the flats are relative to those as well. Then you can move to the 4th string and the 3rd string and so on. Now I didn't chart all those out because it's the same thing over and over and over. It's just you have to know what note it is, right? You have to know your 4th string is D and your 3rd string is G. And if you don't know those, needless to say, you should know those, right? If you're going to try and learn any sort of music theory, you need to know the names of your strings anyway, right? But once you learn that starting pitch, you've got all of this taken care of. So it's pretty darn cool. It works. You now understand the chromatic scale. And you now understand how to apply that chromatic scale in a real-world, functional way to the notes on your guitar, to the strings on your guitar, excuse me. And you don't have to be in any hurry, okay? Once you learn the notes on the 6th string, absolutely learn them, and you learn the notes on the 5th string, you're going to start noticing that there's some cross-reference, right? When I pluck the 5th string, or excuse me, the 6th string, 5th fret, it's A. Now it isn't marked on your sheet, although it should be, but A is open. That's an A. And we know that because we tune that way, right? You've probably learned how to tune from the 5th fret like that, but that's why it works. Okay? Then we also know that A is up here on the 12th fret. Okay? Which works really well. That way you can kind of cross-reference those notes. But there's a really neat thing that you can do here with this A, and here's what I want to show you. This A is also existing at the 7th fret of the 4th string. And those two are called octaves. So no matter where you go, visually those two are always going to be octaves. And you've probably noticed that from playing, power chords or pentatonic scales or whatever it is that you've done before, that these two notes are octaves. Well, so is this one. That's another octave. And you know that because this string is E and this string is E. So if this is A, well, so is this. So a lot of this stuff you've probably done before, but maybe you've never just kind of put it in a sequential thought process and went, oh, okay, so I kind of know this. So what you can do is you can use this chart to sort of memorize where all your A's are. And then, of course, if I memorize that those are A's, like on your chart there, well, then if I move up a fret, those are all A sharps. If I move up another one, those are all B's, and I can find that relative to the note that I'm starting on in the 6th string there. So it's a great way of being able to visualize all the notes that you're looking for at the time across your fretboard. It's not a replacement or a substitution for learning the notes on your strings. Okay? And let's be honest, these top two strings, the sixth string and the fifth string, are by far the two most important strings to learn all your notes on, because that's where your scales come from, or your chords, or whatever it is that you're doing. I'm not saying the other four aren't important, they sure are. But these two are the ones to really get going on. That way, if you're jamming with somebody and somebody says, hey, play me an F sharp chord, you don't go, ah, right? You can go, oh, okay, here, or here, because I know the notes on my two strings. Or where's C sharp? Okay, there's C sharp, or there's C sharp, right? And then major or minor or whatever else you'd want from there. So